We're back on the other channel, and today was supposed to be just real chill. Now the old stolen Demon 170 here is like 99.999% done. We're gonna throw it on the dyno, we're gonna see how much power it made, and then there's the other numbers that we've been just nervously avoiding, the cost. Right about there. Yeah, when we got that $6,500 bill for the wheels and tires, we just kind of stopped counting. It certainly wasn't a conscious decision, and we definitely kept spending money, so I feel like we should probably fill all this in, figure out what our tab is. But then we were interrupted in the form of a freight delivery, a very dusty freight delivery, and I've been waiting for this interruption for like 3.5 years now, so this just jumped to the top of our list. Now, at this point, we've rebuilt 2 Demons that probably never should have saw the road again. One that was burned to the ground, and another that was in like 6 pieces. We've done what objectively should be the hard part, but somehow this has always eluded us. We finally found ourselves a Demon crate. Not only a Demon crate, but a brand new, unopened, straight from the dealer Demon crate that, once again, is very, very dusty. Yeah. The watch knows what's up. They're listening to us. We all know that at this point, right? They're listening. So back in 2018, if you bought one of the 3,300 Demons that they made, check that out. That's not to get off track here, but
fancy.
That's his phone. But look at this packaging. That's Stellantis quality right there. Anyway, if you bought one of the 3,300 Demons that they made, you had an option to buy what they called the Demon crate for $1. Seemed like it was going to be cooler in my head. Yeah, I can't imagine there's anybody who didn't take Dodge up on that, but most of them at this point have either been opened, used. Sometimes you'll see like the empty crates for sale on eBay, and then occasionally you'll see components from these for sale on eBay, but what you almost never see is one that's full, one that's never been opened, supposedly never been opened, and we finally did. We finally found this thing. And usually if you find one in this condition, they're going for like $6,000 to $8,000, sometimes even as high as 10, but we got this for $4 grand. Partially, probably not partially, wholly because the people who listed this did a horrible job of it. They used mainly like stock photos in the eBay listing. Frankly, it looked kind of scammy. Lucky for us, it wasn't scammy. It wasn't at all. It's here. In person. So the story I got on this thing from the seller, who was a high up at a Dodge dealership in Tennessee, is it's been sitting in their warehouse since 2018 when a Memphis Grizzlies player ordered a Demon, got the crate with it, but then never took delivery of the crate. They said they tried to coordinate delivery multiple times over the years, but the buyer of the car just never seemed all that interested in taking delivery of a giant crate along with it. Eventually, they bought that car back, I think a couple months ago. It was kind of ragged out. They said it had been stolen a few times. So rather than sell it through their dealership, they sent it to auction. Then they still had this crate, and I guess just called it square and threw it up on eBay. They were also not really interested in saying who it was, but the crate itself kind of did that for us. And the fact that somebody wrote Tony Allen's name on the outside of the box, so I don't really know why they were being so secretive with it, but I do have to say, the Grindfather is a sick nickname. I like that. That's a good one. Let's rip the Band-Aid off here.
Look at that. Whoa.
That is so freaking cool. I'm also really glad this thing didn't get damaged in shipping. That was my only worry. We cracked the box open to look inside of it, but I didn't want to do this until we all got to do it together.
Finally.
Finally, man. This is so cool.
I think it's paint.
It's paint, right?
Wow.
This is paint. I've never even seen one of these in person. Yeah. How'd that get in there?
This
is
him.
So freaking cool.
You gotta say the boys though. Hello, guys.
What's that?
Hello, guys.
It sounds like you're really good at this. Maybe you do it.
Come on.
All right.
Yeah.
Hello, guys.
Yeah.
Come with me as we unbox my new Demon crate.
There we go. Whoa.
This really is bigger than I thought, too. This is massive.
Wow.
I'm such a nerd for this type of stuff. Y'all remember when I was doing the first Demon, we found like little pieces of memorabilia, even though it was burnt up?
And the fact that you can buy all these for $1 is insane.
It is. Do you think there was one person out there that was like, never mind?
Probably.
This guy probably should have, you know? So yeah, it really looks like this thing's never been opened before. Guess it's been sitting for so long now that this was like a piece of adhesive, Velcro, that I guess went down here somewhere to hold in your tire pressure checker gauge, and it just popped off, but whatever.
Mopar quality.
Get into it. Don't even. Don't. This is not the video you insult Mopar in.
Whoa.
It's got plastic on it. This is like what you shouldn't be doing, right? This is like opening a rare pack of Pokemon cards.
That's cool.
That's another question though. Like,
What?
I don't know, again, what we're doing with this. I don't know if we should keep it all together or break it up and use it and just enjoy the stuff, which is the route I would take 99% of the time. And what really puts this in perspective is less than a week ago, we ripped apart one of 50 Yinkos to throw the engine into a 3rd gen Camaro. And there's 3,300 of these, and all of a sudden now I'm like, oh, we've got to be careful. Like, should we touch it? Let's not desecrate the crate. Man.
I see what you're doing here.
What's that?
That was a Chevy. This is a Mopar thing, so.
That's probably right. That is another question, though. Like, is all this stuff actually going to work still? It's been sitting for a while.
Is it broke?
Why would it be any other way? Of course, we have to do modification to the first piece we get out of the crate. It's been 8 years. 8 years.
Wow.
The Demon does not seem like an 8-year-old car, right?
Not at all.
I guess it checks out, right? Like, it's probably about the lifespan of these batteries, same as in your key fob. You can't let a key fob sit for almost a decade and have it work. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look.
Hey,
Imagine
there
that.
we go.
Things work when they have batteries in them. So, fun fact, how I figured that out, is that little number right there, TPGD 150. This is a Blue Point tire pressure gauge with a Demon face on it. She works. She works. Cool, man. I wonder what else in there is battery powered. I think this is one of the coolest pieces of this whole deal. What do you think's under the Demon sticker? Does it just say Snap-on?
Probably.
It probably does.
Yeah.
We are not going to pull it and find out, but...
That's cool. Look at
is,
that.
Right? Demon certificate of calibration. That's so cool.
Wow. That's fancy.
Here's the date. May 2017. Figured it out yet. This video is just going to be one big me saying, oh, that's sick. Oh, that's awesome. So cool.
It's been a long time since I hear that.
You know what I just realized,
What?
by the way? This thing came with sockets. We didn't need to grab the Harbor Freight one, the Icon. Next up is our Snap-on aluminum jack. And this is made out of the same material that the Demon Red seatbelts are, which is just, once again, awesome.
I like that.
It's a tiny jack, but I guess it's made for, you know, trackside tire changes, right? Not just general shop work.
That's a sticker.
That's a sticker, but that's a plaque up there. Oh yeah, so all those little adhesive pieces
Gone.
are coming off. Whatever. That's light.
That's cool.
I do have to say there's absolutely no knock against the Demon 170. It's objectively a better car. I love the pink one, but this is from a time when I think Dodge, I think they cared a little more. They gave away some pieces with the 170. I think it was like a decanter set, but it was like all kind of gimmicky stuff. Like, this is one of the coolest things I've seen an auto manufacturer do, period. And it's cool that it was Dodge, not like Ferrari or something. So these are the skinnies that they gave you for the front of the Demon. This is the most valuable piece by far. These sell like $2,000 alone. I'll tell you, they ain't light. Holy crap. That is way heavier than I thought. If you pick up like Weld front runners, like the ones on the Supra, they are 10 times lighter than this. So obviously made to match the 2018 Demon wheels. And look how much skinnier they are. Interesting that it didn't come with tires. I suspect that's because they couldn't find DOT approved tires that were this small for a car like this. So they just did the wheels. So I know I was just kind of ragging on Dodge for not doing as much with the Demon 170 as far as what came with it. But I got to give credit where credit's due here. They kind of implemented the best of both worlds. The front tires on these are somewhere in between the OG Demon's front wheels and the skinnies. On the 2018 Demons, it came with 18x11s on the front and the rear. It's a completely square setup. But on the 170, they did 17x11s in the rear and then 18x8s in the front. So as much as it would have been cool to get 2 sets of wheels, I do think that's awesome. It makes sense.
That's the fender cover?
No, this is a duffel bag, I think.
Oh.
That's just cool. I guess you could use this for like your helmet and whatever you want at the track.
Wow.
It's a nice bag. Very, very carefully. Imagine getting this and just cutting straight through the fender cover.
I was thinking about the same thing.
She's been in there for a while. You can tell by like how heavy the paper's got and how sticky it all is now. Oops.
There we go.
Yeah, this thing needs to breathe, man.
Perfect.
I look like a professional mechanic now.
Ryan home, huh?
This, I think, is probably my favorite piece. I know what this is. The impact gun.
There we go. Whoa.
All right, so hear me out now.
Okay.
Doesn't this look kind of old? Like where we are today, we're in the Milwaukee ecosystem here. We use all Milwaukee cordless, all their battery powered stuff. So now this feels like,
Oh, that's impressive though.
that's very impressive. Wow. You think you can still torque a wheel as it
Probably.
sits? Well, yeah,
I hope
only
so.
one bar. I mean, two. This got to be the sockets. I do not want to rip this box at all. So if these are the sockets, which they have to be, yeah. This is one of the most commonly sold individual pieces that you see on eBay. And I've always thought about buying them just because I think that's cool. A socket that says Demon on it. That's sweet, but I've held out because I always wanted to get an actual crate, and we made it. We freaking made it. So I think we get one more socket. No, extension that also says Demon. Let's go kill the value of this thing.
Whoa.
It still got some ass. That's cool. Did it with an extension too. That don't sound like a lot of torque. It's probably right about where it needs to be. We'll check that, don't worry. I actually can't find the exact model of Snap-on this is, but Dodge listed it as being a Snap-on tool, so I'm guessing it's a Snap-on tool. Oh, this is sick. So this thing is a passenger mirror cover. It lets you pull the whole mirror assembly off and block it off with this plate, clearly for drag strip use only, but the fact that they even thought to do that is just cool. It makes no difference, I'm sure, but
Probably, right?
Like-
but it's cool.
the ideology, the thought of doing this is awesome. It's really cool. I love that stuff. I'm sure some of you guys probably remember, and I could be wrong about the year range on this, but I remember seeing way back, like the basest of the base model Honda Civics didn't come with a passenger mirror. It used to be a law, or I guess not a law, that you had to have a passenger mirror. Okay, this is maybe, I've said this about like 5 pieces at this point, but this is something that you know that I was looking for a long time.
Whoa. This is the one.
That's the one. Now,
God.
I think that this is probably going to be customized. It's probably going to say Grindfather on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. One thing that was always been missing from this car, the door hinge doesn't work real well either. Probably the fire. Is the fender, that's not a fender, that's a dashboard. Is the dash vent. On the Demon 170, we were lucky enough that it was still in the dashboard. The thieves didn't rip it out. It was recovered, so we got it. But we've never had an original fender. Why do I keep saying fender?
Yeah.
What am I even talking about here?
It's a
I'm
band.
too excited today. This has got me pumped. We never had an original dashboard vent. Here's the problem, though. We have one now, but it's not just a serial number. It's made out to somebody else's nickname, so that
Yeah.
feels like... if it was just a serial number and the serial number was wrong, that'd be fine, but I don't know. It feels weird to have somebody else's nickname in your car, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
So we actually think...
That's
Oh,
awesome.
so this is different.
What?
I guess this is like a race air filter?
Huh.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So I thought the Demon logo air filter was like the special one. I've always heard that these came with another air filter.
Wow.
Okay, I guess it's different. It looks pretty much the same.
Whoa.
So this is our center stack.
What is that for?
These are the buttons that go like right above the shifter in the center console, and as far as I'm aware, the only difference is that button right there. It has a high octane button because in this box, I think there's an ECU, definitely an ECU. It lets you take the car from 93 octane pump gas to 100 octane race gas, and that brings the horsepower from 808 up to 840, and also apparently keeps your warranty intact, which is just awesome, right? It's kind of funny. You can see that the ECU's clearly been open. I guess this is before they had the tools that they have now to just flash stuff. Again, just really awesome that they did this. They gave you a second ECU, a second center stack, just like those skinnies. It's just freaking cool. But I do have to say, on the 170, they obviously figured out a better way to do this. You don't need a second ECU. You don't need a center stack. It's all automated. It's all based off ethanol content. The 170 wins this one by a long margin. Having to swap out ECUs, like, it's not really something you should have to do present day. And probably not even in 2018. The technology was there in 2018 to do this. I think right now, and I'm sure it'll be temporary, I still have a little bit of that, like, it took us so long to get here. It took us so long to get this that I'm almost ready to screw it up, but I don't really want to screw it up. It kind of just occurred to me that we really haven't been under it since we got it together. It hasn't left any puddles anywhere. It hasn't done anything weird, so we just haven't needed to. And it's all seemed pretty normal at the time, given that we were rebuilding a stolen car. But now, like, you almost look at this car as brand new, right? It's less than 1,000 miles. It's perfect, but it's still all jacked up underneath. Like, we didn't do anything to the subframe here. It's still the same stuff that got drug around Copart, and I don't know, it gives it character, right? Like, I almost like that. It's a good thing.
Cars, you know?
Exactly. Like, sure, most of the studs on the bottom of the chassis are bent or broken or ripped out completely. No problem. It's still a 960-mile car. I love how the engine oil drain plug is still bashed in on the bottom from this thing getting drug around at Copart. Probably wouldn't be that hard to just get a new one of those. Should probably do that at some point. One other thing that we haven't done is an oil change, right? We did that first oil change at, what, 62 miles, which I guess that counts as like a break-in oil change, but we're almost at 1,000 now. And I guess it wouldn't hurt to take a look in here, right? Sure, everything's gonna be fine, right?
Whoa. Still clean.
So good. Oh, yeah. I guess this is how your stuff looks when you actually get something nice and take care of it. What was that for? Chunk of rod. Very, like, I know it's a little warm, but it's very thin, too. Actually, yeah, that is, like, super thin. You know, you're not, like, gonna feel it when I'm getting closer to you, like, you're gonna actually feel it. But
is that an E85?
It's very ethanol-y, yeah. So it's still a fresh motor. I know it didn't look fresh when we got it, but it was low mileage. So I guess the rings are still seating in. It's a little ethanol in the fuel. It's not that bad, though. We ain't exactly been easy on this car. Any and every chance I get to put the throttle down, I've been putting the throttle down. So it's dirty. Like, it looked a lot better coming out than it does in this bucket. But especially when you dealt with that whole Supra ordeal recently, it never really leaves your head. You never know. Maybe the oil is a nice color of gold. Maybe it's shiny. It shouldn't be, but it could be. It's like Schrodinger's engine. Nothing's wrong until you visually confirm that it's wrong, right? Until you see the gold oil, it's all good. You know what that kind of reminds me of, actually?
What?
Just loosely, your personal data. You don't know how much of it is out there until it starts getting used against you. Your name, your phone number, your address, all that important stuff gets collected and sold by data broker sites without you ever knowing about it. And that is how you end up with spam, scams, or worse. This feels really good to bust open an oil filter that doesn't scare you, right? It feels
been a long time.
It has been a minute. Usually, if you're doing this, it ain't for a good reason, but this is preventative maintenance, right? A preventative inspection.
Yeah.
The way normal people do things, the way we should probably do things more often. And that is what I've been using Incogni. They go out and automatically track down those sites and remove your personal data for you, so you don't have to spend hours trying to do it yourself. This is a really long drain plug, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought this would be out by the time we were done that line, but it is not out. So I'm just gonna keep rambling here until we get there.
It keeps going.
We gotta be, it's just long, man. You know?
Whoa.
Plus, if there's something specifically sketchy, let's say, for example, just spitballing here, Fernando is using customer data from his merch site to try to sell extended car warranties on the side. You literally just send Incogni a link, and they'll remove it with the custom removal tool. You wouldn't do that though,
Never.
right? You wouldn't?
Never.
You're not actively doing that?
No.
You're not doing that as we speak?
No.
Okay. So look, you should probably figure out what's out there about you. End of the day, you're gonna have less junk mail, less spam calls, and just have a little more privacy, which is real tough to do online sometimes. Plus, you can use the code ScrapLife at the link down in the description and get 60% off an annual plan, which I highly recommend if you've bought any uncertified merch recently. Seriously.
You're getting fancy,
Really?
huh?
Oh yeah. Car racing motor oil.
Sheesh. That's what you do it for.
Motor smells so good. If you've never used motor oil, do yourself favors. Try it once just for the smell. Just for the smell. Check out this new little contraption we got. Mishimoto makes an oil fill funnel that screws right in here. I know it's just a little plastic funnel set, but for some reason, new shop tools are always the best, and you can see the oil going into your engine, and you definitely won't spill in it. It's cool. Alright, ready for the dyno, and we cooked up a little plan here. Been thinking about what we can use from that demon crate. We gotta put something to use, right? And what better than the air filter? I think we can put that to use on this one and see if it picks up any power. I mean, not only is this not the original demon air filter, but it has something like 40,000 miles on it anyway. Though it should last a little bit longer than that. It's a K&N filter technically. But I think we should see how much more power the thinner air filter that came with the demon crate makes.
Has to make more, right?
It has to, technically, right?
Yeah.
But I figure if nothing else, it does match, right?
It's gonna be a
At
better
least
combo.
we're gonna look a little better, and you know it's got a Dyno logo on it. This one doesn't. It's got the little Dodge stripe. So since we're trying to do a comparison of two things that on their best day might have a 5 horsepower difference, we're gonna have to be really strategic with how we do this. If we end up doing this straight back to back with only the time in between that it takes to change those filters, it'll probably make less horsepower just on heat alone. So I think what we're gonna do to keep this apples to apples is we'll wait till the oil temp gets to 160, so at least it shows on the gauge. We'll see what the coolant temperature is when that is 160, and then we'll swap out the filter, and we'll wait till the temps get back down to those same numbers.
911.
911. Did you hear me say 910 earlier?
No.
Wow. Yeah, you priced this right. You pre-priced this right at me. What you got?
Say A77.
See, I like both those guesses. Supposedly 1025 to the crank from the factory. We're on full ethanol right now. I was gonna go with 910, then Tim jumped in, supposedly without hearing me say that, it did 911, so I guess go to a 912. If it starts with an 8, that would be quite disappointing. It is a lockup converter, it's an 8 HP. There's no good reason this shouldn't make in the 9s. It shouldn't be that much drivetrain loss. It's real easy to think, we're dynoing a stock car today. We don't need to do all this. It's not gonna spin. Forget that stock car is a Demon 170. 1,000 horsepower Demon 170. So yeah, probably should have saw that spinning coming. 19 and a half,
That works.
20 PSI should do it, right? Yeah. Hey, we got to find another use for this too. It's not all bad news. The graph looks awesome. This is me rolling into it a little bit, then stabbing it with the power's even. What do we got? That's an 8, isn't it? That's an 8 something.
No way.
I mean,
What number did I say?
what did you say?
Exactly.
You said 887?
No, I think A77. I think that's
It's
what I said.
77. Okay, so
Whoa.
technically you are right. Damn. I thought it was going to make more. I really did. You know what's probably holding this thing back? That air filter. Figure we'd have probably already done this, but I didn't do a lick of research to see what other 170s are actually making on the dyno. Tim's hitting the Google right now, so we're going to find out. We need to see if this is a dud or if it's just par for the course.
898 at Hennessy Performance, Demon number 20, Demon VIN number 25. Put down 925 rear wheel on the 85. Demonology made 898 rear wheel horsepower and 878 torque.
So we got to beat that. Like, we got to beat Herman. Sorry, Herman. You know, great guy, but we're going to have to beat you. Check out the new Ratchet. Looking for an excuse to use this thing. Finally found one. Yeah, it looks like it's robbing us of some horsepower. Tim, come do this. So they know I'm not lying. I'm so serious.
I'm being set up.
No, I swear you're not. Back to back.
What am I doing?
Blow through it.
Oh.
It feels like there's less resistance.
It does, doesn't it? All right, give her about 30 minutes to cool down, get our numbers back to the same as they were, and then we'll try to put ourselves up a number. All right, time got away from us a little bit there. We let it cool down for 3 hours, so we gotta let it heat back up to those temps. Would you like to revise your guess?
951.
9 what?
921.
I thought he said 951.
I hear 951.
This stupid thing's loud. He definitely said 951.
did.
I almost don't think it's going to pick up that much power. That seems optimistic, right? That is, I said what, 912? Or 912? So I'm 25 horsepower down. It's not picking up that from a filter. Well, maybe it was really dirty. I don't know. You want to change yours?
Going 917.
So you're really optimistic about this thing, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Or
right.
you're gonna tell me you're gonna have 800 horsepower Demon 170.
$91?
Yep.
All right, we showed 108 on the dash, so now we're spinning. What a pain.
Yay!
What a frickin' pain on a stock car. We let this thing cool down like that to try to get this accurate number. Now we heated it back up and didn't even get a good number.
Long as drive shaft weight.
This is not the first time this has happened. We lost one of these before and had to re-adhesive it.
That's the one.
Hey! Hey, you know what? I ain't worried about this. We're in the nines.
There you go.
Okay. This is a problem. How's this not happened on the street yet, by the way?
This is definitely the one that I epoxied back on last time. You'll notice the epoxy on it. Also, it almost took me out. It almost hit me right in the legs.
So the last time this happened was when we were cheating that whole mileage thing, trying to hit 500 miles and spinning the rear tires on the lift. They were somewhere else in the shop. I was in the car and I heard, bang! And I got out. I was like, you guys hear anything? Like, what the hell was that? No, I didn't hear anything. And then we found this when we pulled the car out. So. So, if you noticed on that last pull, the 900 horsepower one, we actually ran it up in 5th gear, which I think gave us a little bit of a false reading on the torque. The horsepower should be accurate, but I wanted to try to do that apples to apples comparison and try it again in 4th gear, but for whatever reason, we cannot get this to hook now. Like, at all in 4th gear with this.
I know why.
Why?
Because that air filter adds that much power.
We try to avoid spinning stuff really high on the dyno unless you have to, because of what happened to those Mickey Thompsons on the K car. And now we can't hook. So we don't have an accurate comparison because we have 5th gear with the new filter and 4th gear with the old one, and that's not going to cut it. This is a highly scientific test, so we have to put the old filter back in and do a 5th gear pull now, so we actually have a legit number here. $902. All right, that is spot on. That is a perfect comparison. 903 with the race filter, 902 with the old filter. Imagine that. 1 horsepower. I do have to say, I think it's kind of funny that we jokingly said, it's probably good for 1 horsepower when we pulled this thing out of the crate, and it was actually good for 1 horsepower. But that's like in the margin of error anyway. You can't even say that this contributed to that. It could be that, I don't know, the humidity's 1% less now or 1% more. I don't know. There's a billion things that can cause horsepower to go up and down by 1. All right, so last time we talked money on this thing, after we bought those wheels, we were at $60,903. And that's where the, I'm not going to say reckless spending started, but it turned out to be reckless. It wasn't supposed to be, but it did end up that way simply because all the programming issues we had with this thing. The first thing we had to buy is a new body control module because it's the one I thought I needed. That was $300. So once we knew that factory programming thing was just cooked, a guy from ECU Dynamics hit me up and said, hey, I think I have a fix. We can basically hack the modules. And he did exactly that. But it ran us $1,000.
Ah, yes! Oh,
But then we had to start getting to some of the hard parts. And by hard parts, I don't mean difficult. I mean some of the physical parts. We had to do an oil cooler. We had to do lines. We had to order the lines new. I think we found a really cheap used oil cooler because we didn't have any around here at the moment. That ended up running us $300. Then after the oil cooler, we're staring down the barrel of a lot more mechanical parts. You had the radiator pack. And by pack, I mean the AC condenser, the heat exchanger, the fans, all that fun stuff. You had the AC lines because that car had no AC lines with it. Or it had some. They just weren't the right ones.
Yeah, exactly.
They were from a Charger.
Yeah.
And then you had, what else was it? The fuel pumps.
Fuel pumps.
Luckily, we got all that stuff from parts cars we had around the shop. It probably saved us, in that instance, $1,500. After that, though, we did kind of run out of luck on the parts cars, just in one instance. Yeah. That intake that we were taking off 5 times earlier, the box, the filter, I think I already said it, we got that out of that black red eye. We thought we were going to be able to use the intake tube as well. I thought it was a freebie. I thought we were golden. No. The Demon 170 has a bigger throttle body. It don't fit, and that set us back $800, which is
a lot.
For a stock intake tube from Dodge, absurd.
You could buy a carbon fiber one. I mean, you're getting close.
You could buy a carbon fiber intake kit twice for the price of one stock intake tube, which is stupid. Then we had a couple of odd little parts that did come with the 170, but they were not trashed, but just damaged enough where it felt sketchy to use. Things like the 2 front brake lines. The rubber portions were like nicked up. They weren't leaking, but it's not a risk you want to take, right? If there's a nick in one of those, let's replace them. Yeah. I think I replaced both fronts at $100 each. That was $200. Then we had to send those front seat belts out to be gone through. They technically worked, but they felt a little odd. Sketchy, At the same time, we had them converted to yellow, so it made it into an upgrade just in case we were doing it for nothing. At least we didn't spend money for nothing. Exactly. And then there were the front seats. With our Demon 170, we only got a single Dodge Charger seat, right?
Yeah.
It was one Dodge Charger Hellcat seat. Well, that wasn't going to cut it. No. So I think what we ended up doing with that, I can't remember exactly what set.
I don't know if we used the orange one.
I think it was.
Yeah.
At this point, you lose track. Yeah. It was either the orange Scat Pack seats. It definitely was. Yeah. It had to be. Yes. We took the orange Scat Pack seats and we had an upholstery shop recreate the Demon 170 logo and put it in the back of it. That was about $500, but you couldn't put Scat Pack seats in there. Yeah. You can't put Hellcat seats in there. And I don't even know what it would cost to get actual Demon 170 seat covers from Dodge, but I don't want to find out.
I don't even think you can.
I would assume that maybe you could if you have a proper VIN.
Okay.
But it can't be cheap.
Yeah.
I know this one's not going to be pretty for me. But then we have the windshield.
Oh, my God. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I knew this was coming.
Yeah. That was awesome. I remember saying, just putting ideas in the air. Hey, let's hire a company. How much does it charge? $150, right?
It would have been $150 for them to come out and seal it, yeah.
And that way it's going to be good. You don't have to worry about it. Nah, we're going to try it. We're going to do it. What happened?
We did try it. We did do it. It leaked terribly. Yeah. Immediately. The first time that car was out in the rain, which was like the second time I drove it, it started pouring through the windshield. We screwed it all up. I screwed it all up, for being honest. And after that whole deal, once the car's finally sealed up and at least you could go outside without being flooded, things got kind of ignorant, all right? We learned that there was one very specific ABS module that we needed that was correct for the Demon 170s, and that was the only way that we were going to make the trans brake and the launch control and all that fun stuff work. So we found one. There's only one in the country. And by the country, I mean Puerto Rico. So we had it overnighted because there was a reason it was overnighted. There was a reason. I can't remember what it was now. But it cost $350 with the overnight shipping to get it here. Get the box. It says the right part number on it. Hell yeah. Put it in. Hook the scanner to it. Wrong part number. Apparently that's a thing from Dodge. Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that sucked. So that was money absolutely wasted. Then I think maybe a month or so later, Dodge re-upped or restocked that ABS module. Said, all right, we got it fixed. This isn't a problem anymore. So we bought another one for $250. Put that in. It is the right part number.
Okay.
That part's right, but still nothing worked. So this is a trend here, and it's still not solved. So after that, we had to do another body control module because apparently the first one wasn't the right one. You put that in, and it's sort of programmed. It kind of programmed. It didn't go all the way, though. We're still getting one very specific code. It is C220B in the ABS module. At this point, it's acting almost like there's more of a mechanical issue somewhere, maybe in the ABS pump. So all in, getting the car to exactly where it is now, which really the only other cost we could possibly have here is whatever else is involved in fixing that whole ABS issue, is $66,553, which that's pretty damn good, right?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I thought that it got more out of control than that. I really did. After everything we've done and put into this car after those wheels, it all seemed like it was going to cost more.
Yeah.
That whole ABS thing is definitely confusing. I don't understand it. I don't know what we need to do yet, but I don't think it's going to be that expensive. Like, even if you have to replace most of the brake system, the ABS pump, even the steering rack, like $1,000 maybe. Like, it's not going to be that bad. We're almost there. So I think the cheapest 170s that I saw on Barrett Jackson or wherever they meet them, whatever auction it was, there was one for $112 and one for $115, and those were like the non-carbon fiber wheels, just like our car. So even the barest Demon 170s are still almost 50 grand more than the one we built.
Wow.
And this might be a little bias here, but if I had to pick one to drive, I'm picking the salvage one.
I mean, you can put a lot of miles and you're going to feel guilty.
You can do whatever you want in it.
Yeah.
You can beat on it as you should. You can put all the miles on it.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about if that road trip you're about to take is going to knock $2,000 off the price of your car. It just doesn't matter.
Yep.
It just doesn't matter between that, the color, the story behind it, the challenges that came along with it, and the fact that we got to build it with all you guys. This has been a community thing, not just a like, hey, we bought this car thing.
Yeah.
It is. It's cool. It's special, and 10 times out of 10, I'm picking the salvage one. I guess the question, though, is what is that one actually worth? Not a stock one, but what is that worth? Like, if I posted that for sale today, what could I get for it?
Sure.
And that's a tough one. It really is, because it's not technically a Demon 170. The VIN says it's a 2021 Hellcat because we got that donor chassis, and that's what we had to register it as. But it is as complete of a Demon 170 swap as you could ever have.
And you got the proofs of everything,
The
too.
proof, it's all documented, and it's less than 1,000 miles still. It's like 950 or something at this point. So that's tough. I think it's somewhere around 75 to 80. Yeah. Because if you take a really nicely modified Hellcat, they can be around there as long as they're not super high mileage. This is all like loosely based off some of the most frequently asked questions in the comments. Future plans for it. What's going on next with it? And we have occasionally talked about, just when we're hurt for bad ideas, doing a twin turbo kit on it. I don't know if we're ever going to do that, though. It's such a nice driving car, right? And we have so many other things here that are just complete headaches. Even if they're not headaches, even if they're well-built cars, they're headaches. Why not just have an awesome 900 wheel horsepower car that you can take out, that anybody can go take out and drive? It's an easy to drive, starts right up, no problems type car. I don't know that, at least right now, I'm hurting to ruin that.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn into your 350Z.
It's true.
And I think at this point, probably ran our mouths enough on this topic. We know how much power it makes. We know how much it costs. That's about all there is to it.
Yeah.
So if there's another cost breakdown on a specific build you guys want to see, happy to do more of these types of things. Put it down there. That was a thing you just
right
did
there,
that.
right?
Yeah, it's like
comments.
Maybe like the Trackhawk or something.
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe an upcoming build. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I think that about covers it. Adios, amigos.